folks, and welcome to this video. I'm going to be going through Silhouette Studio. I'm going to do an introduction and an overview to the software so you can get started. So if you're maybe coming over from the Cricut software or you've just bought your Silhouette machine and you're using it for the first time, this will just give you sort of an overview and so you can get to know the program a little better before you dive right in. So I'm going to go through not every tool, but we're going to go through some of the main tools that you'll see most people using, and then we'll go from there. There'll be more videos after this talking about specific tools and going through specific projects. So if you have a specific project or a tool that you need help with, drop it in the comments down below and I'll make sure that I try and get something up for you. For this video, I'm using Silhouette Studio Business Edition. So if you're using Basic or Designer, you might find that some of these tools are not available for you. I do recommend upgrading to Business. I do think it unlocks more of the program, and I think most people will find that useful. But if you've only got Business or Designer, that's okay too. Most of the tools that I'm talking about today for your basic projects are available in the Basic Edition. So to start with, this is what your screen will look like. When you start, you've got your file and sort of general taskbar along the top. This is where you can save, open, and all that sort of thing. And then as you go across, there's more options. A lot of these have other locations within the program. So you can open up your page setup by going to Panels, Page Setup, but it is also over here as well. So if you can't find a tool somewhere down on the sides because they're not labeled, you can always go to your panels and have a look up here where they have text labels. And there's a few other tasks, but mostly you won't be using this except to probably edit and undo or file and open or save a project. The next line is really handy. So these are sort of like quick tools. You've got new, open, save, print, your copy, paste, you've got undo, some color tools. You'll use quite a lot of zoom in and out tools as you work on smaller parts of your project. So obviously we've got just zoom in and out. This is my favorite one. If you know exactly where you want to zoom into, you can click this tool, click and drag on your canvas, and it will zoom right into that area. And then to go back, we're going to use this N tool. Brings up the whole screen again so you can get a really good overview of what you're designing. This other one is quite handy too. You can click with your mouse and then slide up and slide down to zoom in and out over any certain point. So if you want to zoom in and out over here, you can do that. And then the hand tool just moves around. Below that, we have this white taskbar. You'll always have these options visible, but depending on what you have selected, you'll get other options as well. So if you have text selected, you'll see you have a bunch of text options come up. If you have a shape selected, you'll see different options come up for the shape that you're selecting. So that taskbar sort of changes depending on what you're doing. And then over to the right, you have your design space, which is where we are now. Silhouette store, and that's for if you're buying Silhouette designs. You have your library, which we won't touch on too much in this video. And then you have your send screen, which is where when you're done designing, you can go and cut it on your machine using your send screen. So if we come back to the design space, I'm going to start on the right because this is sort of where I always start my project, is in the page setup. So this is where you would select what size material you're cutting on, whether it's letter size paper, A4 size, or 12 by 12. It's where you can show your print border and your cut border. You can also set up registration marks if you're doing a print and cut. So this is sort of where you set up your page. This is for a pick scan mat. We're not going to go over that today, but this is the pick scan mat panel. You have your color option. So this is for filling in color, and your line style. So this is for selecting the thickness and the color of your line. The trace tool, which is really important if you're using PNG or JPEG images and you need to give them an outline. So this is your trace tool. Below that, we have image effects. You probably won't use this a whole lot. Unless you're tweaking an image so that you can trace it, basically. We have a text styles panel. So this is where if you're using text, you're going to be selecting fonts. You can make your, you can increase your line spacing, change your character spacing. You can do a spell check, use glyphs, and increase the size. So that's all under your text panel. We're going to skip this one. I don't even know what this is. Font creation. That's why I don't know it. I've never created my own font. Not really interested, so skip over that one. The next one is the transform panel. I use this quite a lot, especially this align section. So this aligns two shapes vertically or horizontally, or to the left or right, up and down, equally spaces them as well. And I also use the rotate tool and the scale tool quite a bit. So this is a really useful tool, the transform tool. You also have this replicate tool, which is quite handy. So if you've got an object selected and you want to replicate it to the right, you can just click this, and then you could select all three of those and you could duplicate them down. So it's a really handy tool because it duplicates an object if you want more than one of them. You also have a modify tool, which is really handy when you're working with SVGs or other vector shapes. To create new vector shapes, it's also where your compound path information is stored. The offset tool, again, really handy, especially if you're cutting stickers, but it is also very useful for vinyl to be able to add an internal or external offset. And I think I'm going to skip over the rest of these tools. These are more specific tools. So if you want to make a puzzle, if you want to make a pop-up card, if you're going to stipple or use the sketch pens. But for vinyl and stickers, I really don't use any of the lower tools on this side. And then over on the left is sort of your design tools for building shapes. So you have your select tool, allows you to click on an object and move it around. We have various shapes. So you've got lines, circles, squares, a variety of shapes, which are pretty good depending on what you want. But you know, that's a nice star. You've got a pen tool, and this is your text tool. So the pen tool is just for drawing. It's not particularly useful because like it's super wibbly wobbly and I don't know why I would want that. But you do have your text tool. So by selecting the text and then clicking anywhere on the screen, you can start writing your text. You also have an eraser here. So if you wanted to erase particular shapes or parts of shapes, you can do that up here. I do think that this is a bit of an overused tool. I think there are often better ways of achieving the same thing and more efficiently, so you can get through your projects faster. And there's a knife tool which allows you to slice an object into two. So that's it for your overview. Obviously all of these tools have a lot of options. Depending on your project, you may only use one of these tools, you may use all of these tools, but at least it's just like a quick overview of where all the tools are that you might need. And we're going to go from here. And if you want to keep watching, there'll be another video after this and we'll launch into a project. Thanks for watching. Bye.